Hey everyone, this is Mikedot. I'm here with my bro Afromania. How are you doing today?
I'm feeling good, man. I can't complain. I'm feeling really good. How about yourself today?
I'm fine. You know, it's just another day, another dollar.
Yeah,
Just chilling.
just gotta make that money, man.
Yeah,
Just
trying
gotta
to.
grind. No, so yeah, so for this podcast though, we got a bit of a news dump day. You know, there's so much that's kind of happened over these couple of days, especially the drop of a brand new game called Marvel Rivals. Other interesting news that also has dropped with Rockstar potentially maybe delaying Grand Theft Auto 6. And then there's an interesting news story about Dragon Dogmas 2 about the microtransaction issue. So yeah, there's a lot that we are going to talk about and then some.
So I just checked out the trailer for Marvel Rivals, and yes, seems to be basically an Overwatch style game, hero shooter, where you got different Marvel heroes that you can swap out different heroes and use their different abilities in combat and different like team scenarios.
Yeah.
Not exactly sure what the game modes will be yet. I assume it's going to be very similar with like point capture and like push the payload like
Yeah.
in Overwatch.
From what I'm hearing, it's about like that, like in an escort mission too as well. I think almost the same missions that Overwatch has. A little bit about that. Also, from what I heard, it's also supposed to be a free-to-play game that's added. Also made from the same team that made Nakara Blade Point, NetEase Games, both publisher and developer.
Yeah, I mean, that alone does have caused some concern for me because as much as I enjoy Naraka Blade Point, that game is filled with like microtransactions and cash shop stuff. So I assume that this game is going to be more or less the same kind of like monetization. So if you thought that Overwatch 2's monetization was bad, well, this game is going to put that game to shame. But that aside, the hero selection is kind of hit and miss, at least for me. I mean, there is a lot of recognizable heroes like, you know, Iron Man, Doctor Strange, like the Hulk. I think the Hulk is the kind of the coolest because you actually play
as Bruce
Banner first,
and he switched over to the Incredible Hulk, maybe as a special unique skill, or maybe once you kind of figure a way to charge him up, or you're like an angry meter, then he turns into the Incredible Hulk, and you get access to all those kinds of powers, if that's a possibility. With, like you said, it is a very interesting selection of characters. Yeah, they have like your names like Iron Man, Magneto, Doctor Strange, Spider-Man, the Incredible Hulk, and then there's some other characters that were really interesting picks, like Magic from the New Mutants section, which is pretty cool. You also have Black Panther that's being introduced, which is not bad. And then the other characters that actually introduced in the trailer were newer characters like Mantis and a new ice character that's actually from the comic books. That was really interesting. I think her name is Luna Snow. Now, this is a new character that's been introduced right now in the current Marvel comics. I don't know anything of this character other than the fact that clearly in the trailer, it shows her having these really interesting ice powers, which is very interesting that, you know, Storm is also controller of the weather and storms and actually can generate some ice storms herself. So, and that robot over there too, it's another interesting character, is Penny Parker. For people that know that name, that character is more from Enter the Spider-Verse movies. Was a little Asian girl that has this robot that's actually her dad. Her dad's, I believe, consciousness is in the robot, and they kind of work together, protecting, I guess, Tokyo in that way. She's one of the different versions of Peter Parker from that movie. So, yeah, so a very interesting selection along with Rocket Raccoon and Groot. And what's also interesting about the game too, what was also displayed, I thought that was kind of interesting. They added this cool character tag team mechanic where if you notice that two characters are together, they can combine their powers to, I guess, you know, do more damage. Other interesting thoughts that I thought that was really in the fact where there was damage. You can actually put, you can damage buildings in the game, so I think they added a physics element to it. I think seeing in that trailer how Loki ends up becoming Black Panther, and Black Panther ends up destroying the bridge to do multiple damage. Even in the video with Iron Man destroying that building. So the fact that they're adding damageable objects in the game, I thought was really interesting. I thought that's a pretty cool, neat thing. One thing that I will say about this game that I'm very curious in how they're going to handle this movement with these characters. I noticed that certain I'm really kind of curious to see how these characters are going to traverse through these levels. In the video, I really didn't see Spider-Man swinging as much, while other characters moved slower, like Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange, it opens the portals. And then there are going to be characters that may not be able to move as quickly, like a Loki. Loki's going to be either Loki has to possess a character like an Iron Man or a Rocket Raccoon to move around, to traverse. So yeah, I'm curious about how that's all going to play out, as well as how these level designs are going to meet all the needs to these characters and how they move and how they operate. I think that'd be one of my interesting picks about it.
But looks cool. The visuals look very appealing. The animations could use work.
Yeah,
but
and I feel like it moves a little slower.
Yeah, it looked a little slow, looked a little clunky, but visually it looked good. And I just would obviously like to see more like mainstay superheroes, like more of the X-Men. We already got Storm, but obviously we would like to see someone like Cyclops, Gambit, Wolverine. That'd be cool. And obviously, I think just pretty much more of the X-Men. That's really what I want to see more of.
Yeah, and I think if the game does gain some steam and popularity, clearly that's going to be the goal, is to continue to introduce these characters. How they're going to be introduced, these characters, was a live transaction. Unfortunately, the dreaded live transaction name, which I always. It used to be free to play. I feel like if you just say free to play,
free to play live service is the term you're looking for.
Yeah. So they're going to continue. They're going to add some new characters, and I think what's really interesting too about in this game too, and what if this game does better than say what the Avengers have done, which was nothing. I do hope like there'll be a cool moment where you're able to, like you said, you're able to finally get all the X-Men characters. Like all your friends can play as the X-Men while the other group plays as the Avengers. And maybe this game was be able to create these cool scenarios that can be replicated from the comic books and stuff like that.
Never crossed my mind until you just mentioned it. Yeah, that could be a very appealing thing.
Yeah, I think like, and be able to recreate these moments from the comic books, like to have a Civil War event where you have Captain America versus an Iron Man, or you have the Avengers versus the X-Men, or you maybe eventually get the entire cast of the Fantastic Four, and you have to do these specific mission sets that are just designed for those characters. Even a way for even players to be able to pick up on even new characters on free-to-day plays, depending on how the pricing is going to work in terms of the gaming situation. So with that being said too, right now in terms of what I've seen based on some of the leak images, which take that for a great sound, it seems like there's going to be like tank, offensive, and support characters that are being added, and right now the only two playable characters that have been announced right now has been Asgard, which I think that was the level that was shown the most in this teaser trailer, and then another level that wasn't shown in this will be Tokyo 2019 9. So 2099. So the alpha test will start around May, and we'll see exactly if this game actually has promise.
Yep, we will see. Okay. Now moving on to the next topic. You did mention that you wanted to have a discussion regarding the situation with Rockstar and the chance that GTA 6 might get a massive delay.
Yes. And basically what you said. So actually, this was reported by Kotaku actually Friday, and the stock market, their parent company Take-Two, actually took a little bit of hit in the stock market. I know we're not a stock market show, but I figured I mentioned that. So yeah, basically, it was reported that there could be a possible for the game that was supposed to be released in 2025. Early 2025 might get pushed back to late of 2025, or get, my guess, probably being the fourth quarter, and even possibly in early 2026, depending on how the delays are going. Apparently, they're saying that the game and the production has been a bit stagnant. And I'm basically paraphrasing from the article that was actually written. We actually reported a couple of episodes back that last month, Rockstar Entertainment actually reported back the need of the workers to come back to work. And with that's come against some fire against the workers coming back. Some of the situation now, I think a couple of the situations could have been that maybe some workers were not cool with that and maybe just left up and said, I'm quitting, I'm not going to come back and do that, and just try to find something else. That'd probably be one of my reasons into that, though. But with all that news of a possibly delay in GTA 6, man, what are your thoughts?
I mean, I don't really have too much. It's expected, especially when it comes to this industry right now, that pumps like millions of dollars into these projects. And this is a game that can't afford to fail. So they have to make sure that this game has to be like a smash hit no matter what, even if it means delaying the game for a year or two. So it's expected. I mean, I'm not, to be perfectly honest, I'm not too excited for the next GTA game, simply because like I haven't been interested in GTA for years now. I mean, I get why it's so appealing, especially with GTA 5, considering how big GTA Online is and just how there's just like a community surrounding that game. Has basically been propping up Rockstar for years now, and it's just been a huge moneymaker for Take-Two. So it's surprising that they finally decided to just even get off of GTA Online to make this game. But I'm basically assuming that the next GTA 6 basically has to be as big and even more successful than GTA 5, and that's a pretty tall order to fill. So yeah, none of it is surprising. It is what it is. I'm sure people, the gamers will be upset, but it has to be done. I'm just sorry for I guess there is some benefit to it, because hopefully this means they avoid crunch. I know it probably won't, but it avoids at least some crunch.
Some crunch, yeah. And to actually kind of lead into the crunch, how much do you think it played by the last story about maybe workers coming back in? Do you think it played some part of it? Do you think it really played no part of it at all? Or maybe was mutual? Neither.
I can't really comment.
Speak on that.
I can't really speak on that. I haven't looked too much into it because again, I'm not a big into like GTA anymore.
Yeah.
So.
No, totally understandable. Yeah. It is very interesting in the report how, because for a while they really hadn't really mentioned an actual date or even a quarter time frame of when GTA 6 was going to pop. So the fact that they mentioned that there was a potential of getting GTA 6, and there probably still is, in early 2025. So in my mind, I'm thinking either the first quarter of 2025, but I think marketing purposes, no later than the second quarter. So that would probably have been anywhere between like spring break, like April, May, and June, which I'm thinking marketing wise, since spring break happens around this time, March and April, that would be the most interesting time to drop that game since the game is going back to Vice City, which is basically the Miami City in our world, and Florida, and I think a Spring Break. So I think that lineup between having that game and lining up with that marketing could have worked out perfectly in my hand. So I think if 2025 was supposed to be the date, I think it would be somewhere early of the second quarter of 2025. But again, but if not, pushing it back to the last quarter of 2025 for the holiday season also makes sense. That if you really want to sell gangbusters, you'll also sell it in a holiday season. Either way, like you just said, I don't think this delay really hurts anybody. People are going to buy it regardless. So
yeah,
I mean, we've waited for almost a decade. What's
another few years?
Another few years, man.
So
yeah, non-story,
basically. So. I guess the last thing we wanted to talk about is a massive controversy surrounding Capcom and their recent game, Dragon's Dogma 2, as a lot of people are not happy with the game. Actually, there are a lot of people happy with the game, but also a lot of people are not happy with the game because of all the bugs that comes with the PC version of the game. It has some optimization issues, and the biggest issue that people have with the game is the microtransactions that were apparently well known by the influencers and review media, and they knew fully well that the game was going to launch with a bunch of microtransactions, but they decided not to report on it, and people are upset about that. And they're just upset in general that Capcom are sticking microtransactions into a $60-$70 single player game where many people believe that they shouldn't be there. And it's just, I kind of have to agree with that sentiment. If you're paying that much for a quote unquote premium game, the game should have no microtransactions, period. It just feels like you're just being taken for a ride at that point. They're just selling you some problems. Actually, I'm saying I got that mixed up. They're basically making problems for the game so they can sell you a solution, like the fact that the game only had one save file and you had to pay to recustomize your character and all these other little things. Okay, so people argue that they don't actually mess with the game. You don't have to buy them. You don't have to use them. But one can also argue that even though they don't affect you, this still is something that if people do accept this is going to permeate throughout the rest of the gaming industry, because you're basically saying, yeah, this is perfectly fine. You can stick this into other games and we won't mind. And it's just gonna let companies basically take advantage of consumers, which is something that we desperately need to start focusing on. It's just consumer protection.
Not even focus on, just fighting back against it entirely. It goes back to you give these companies an inch and they are goddamn going to take the mile, aren't it? If you're cool with these kind of ideas, and that's an issue that I'm having. It is, and this is why I have a hard time trying to get behind Capcom. Because it kind of dawns back to me when I end up buying Marvel vs. Capcom 3, and how, remember that time where they would make a big game, and then literally a year later they'll make a special edition of that same exact game.
It was Marvel vs. Capcom 2 Worlds, and then Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3.
But it was less. But here's the thing: it's lesser the money, and you don't have to. It was lesser the price for some of them, but they end up charging even more. But they're again with Marvel vs. Capcom 3, they end up charging more of a premium on that for basically an update.
Yeah, basically.
You end up re-spending almost $60-$70 on an update. And yeah, I'm not shocked that Capcom has always been involved with things like that. But now this is just a new way for them to figure out how they can make more revenue off their games. And it's upsetting that, a game like Dragon's Dogma that has been what the last game came out, 7 years ago? I forgot. It's about almost a decade. Like, let's just round it up, almost a decade. That, fans have been looking forward to them, and then now you kind of throw in these sneaky microtransactions for basic shit like a save point, which should not even, that, like, the fact that people are charging for save points, that's ridiculous.
Yeah,
completely
for,
ridiculous.
Save files.
Yeah,
charging for save files. It's just like, yeah.
Either way, like, it's that's a bit criminal, I think.
I mean, okay. Like, I need to take a quicker look at these, like, these microtransactions.
Yeah.
Dragons. Don't mind me. Just type in some stuff.
Yeah, but
on the computer, just to get a better look at these microtransactions.
Okay.
Because, here's the big list of microtransactions. Yeah, crystals. It's just like you can buy crystals. I mean, you can earn rift crystals in the game, but they did the same thing with, like, Devil May Cry 5, where you red crystal, or you could, like, red orbs. You could buy, like, red orbs in the game. And yeah, you can earn them just by playing them, but why? It's just, are people really this lazy to just enjoy the game?
Yes.
Okay, that was a rhetorical question. But yeah, wake stones, like, return to life, like revives, buying revives again. The character editor is like this. These are stuff that absolutely should be a part of the base game. You shouldn't have to pay extra for this stuff.
Okay, all right. And don't get me wrong, I agree with you. Like, this is stupid. I will play devil's advocate. What about the person that, let's be honest, works kind of hard? I've been working, grinding for an entire week, put in 40 hours, maybe a couple hours, finally get my paycheck. Just want to be able to enjoy the game, but I don't want to do too much for the grinding. Maybe I'll just put in my money in just to get a couple of these things so I can advance the game. But at the end of the day, I did buy the game. I am allowed to enjoy it the way that I want to enjoy it. What's so wrong about that for the player that wants to simply be able to just get a couple of things, enjoy the game? For, like you said, it's not... Well, it's an online game, though, right? Like, you can still connect with a couple of people, but mainly it's more of like a single player experience.
No, it has no multiplayer whatsoever.
Oh, there is no multiplayer?
None.
Okay, so if that is even the case, then, like, you just kind of going back what I said, it's my money. If I want to be able to spend it on these downloads, just to make my experience a little bit more enjoyable, what's wrong about that, Mike?
I mean, again, like, just like you said, like, you're kind of normalizing something that is going to permeate throughout the rest of the industry. And while people could just argue the whole, how does it affect you argument, that's how a lot of things in not just the gaming industry, but just industries all over, is how when they just, it's just a frog in the pot situation. Like, I saw a video from whatchamacallit, like Lewis. This is like Lewis Bossman. Let me look him up. All right, time for more clickety clack on the keyboard. This is like Bossman. Yeah. Is that guy's name? It's not Lewis. It's something Mossman. I'm sorry, I'm butchering the guy's name. I've seen his content, and it's just like, damn it. I saw his content.
Okay. Yeah. You weren't ready for this.
It's just like, I was not ready for this. Like, it's just Louise Rossman, not Louise Bossman. Yeah.
And I'm usually the one messing up names.
Yeah, I messed up names, but I knew his name. It's just like,
okay. So what
the whole reason why I bring up Louise Rossman is because he had the same arguments that you're just putting up right now about the how does it affect you. It's my money. It's for my experience. Like, who cares? But again, he made the point that, again, these are small, like, little increments that people are making, that the developers and publishers are making to make you used to this kind of stuff, to normalize this stuff. The inch, again, like you said, take an inch, give them an inch, they'll take a mile.
Yeah.
And it's just not something that should be normalized, like, because again, ultimately this is going to ruin games from a consumer standpoint down the line if we keep allowing this.
Listen, if it was for like I said, free to play live service games, totally understandable. Let's think of a game like Warframe. Warframe does this. We all know that, you know. And I bring that up because I think Warframe is probably one of the better free to play live service games out there that actually kind of does all of this better and correct, and it doesn't feel like you're being taken advantage of based on the system too. Where I will say, based on what you showed me on those items, again, if it's not pay to win, I'm not against it. Like, again, I know I'm making my argument too. I'm almost still playing devil's advocate here, but it's not pay to win. Like, you know, it's not a situation where you're being paid to win. This is a single player experience where, like, you could, like, no one, like you said, nobody is telling you to buy these items. You do not have to buy these items. You can still enjoy the game as it's meant to be playing. You can enjoy your weekends. You can sit down. You can grind through it. You can still get those items and they're not going to affect anything. The only thing that does bother me is the save file situation. Like that, you only through buying this you can get more save files, or that's it. Like, what's the situation with that?
I believe there's just straight up no extra save file. There's simply no other save file. You can't, like, buy it, and just like a single player game should not have a single save file.
That's where I would have a problem with. If you're offering something stupid like that, where it should be like a commonplace for a game, that I would have an issue with. But if it's like stupid little more coins or more trinkets that you want to add to your adventure or whatever skins, then I'm not really hating on that. But like I said, it is what me saying that brings a dangerous slope of now introducing this stuff to further Capcom games that should not have it, or even other games where other people in the industry are looking at what Capcom is doing it and they want to implement it into their games. So I understand by me saying that it does introduce a dangerous precedent in the world of more ways that these industries are trying to get more money off of you. Yeah. Again, like I said, I know, like you said, you bring the argument of, like I said, the inch and the eel, but you also have to understand, like, certain people, like, it is their money, and they're able to use it as see fit. But with that does come the risk of now allowing these practices to happen in games. So yeah, I'm a little bit weird in the middle of that.
I'm starting to be against it. Like, again, if it's a live service style free to play game, I have no issue with it. But if it's a single player game, it really should not be there, period. That's my, like, hard stance on that.
And I agree, though. I get it's a hard stance, though. But, like, again, but this is choice.
Yeah, I get it. And
like, choice is being offered, and you don't have to pay for this. You really do not have to pay for this. And that actually could also be a better way. Like, I'm actually kind of curious to see if there's any is there any kind of stats out there of maybe that people that do purchase this stuff for, say, a middle game? I don't think we have any information out there. Or maybe Capcom has it. They're never going to release that.
No, because everything that's like a microtransaction gets rolled into one big pile for, like,
just revenue, just overall revenue, but it's not even broken down.
I mean, it's broken down. It's just not. You're just not gonna see individual like details for every little individual purchase.
Or they're not even just the individual purchase, just the practice. Like, we're never gonna get the numbers on that on based on the practice to see if this is.
Yeah, probably not.
And they're probably never gonna show those numbers. So.
But again, it's just a sad. Of course, the big sad issue is that Capcom is not a stranger to doing this. They've been doing this for years.
Yeah, I think about the Street Fighter and Tekken game with the gem situation.
Yeah,
that's one of them. There's another game, I think Remember Me Too, that also did that same thing, that where you where they force you to buy extra movesets for the character. So yeah, they have been previous to doing shit like this for a long time.
I think the biggest, most annoying, most annoying version of doing this in a single player game is with the game. Damn it, the name is on the tip of my tongue. Oh yeah, Azora's Wrath. The Azora's Wrath, which is a pretty. I mean, it had a good story, but kind of mediocre gameplay. But the biggest issue is that they straight up sold you the true ending. Like, if you bought the original game in its original form, you basically got a cliffhanger ending, which is really annoying. And you had to pay some extra money in order to see what really happens in the end. And stuff like that cannot be normalized, man.
No, but this is companies that's been trying to pull this shit for years. So, not surprising coming from Capcom doing that. Not shocked at all.
Yeah. Anyway, that's basically all the stuff we wanted to talk about. So, just like to say, if you enjoyed this video, please rate, comment, and subscribe. I'm Mikedot here with Afromania, and we are saying peace.
Take care.